Hi everyone, it's once again time for a surgery diary entry. Most of you watching this probably already know this, but back in April we had our gender reaffirming surgeries, or rather, the first set of them. Because the way it works right now in Sweden, or at least at the hospital we got our surgeries at, is for bottom surgery, vaginoplasty, you do it in two steps. You have one major surgery, the one that takes a full week to recover in the hospital, and then another additional 8 weeks after that at home. But then 3 months later, or 4 months in our case, because of summer holidays getting in the way, you get a second surgery, which is basically touching it up in some ways. And that was today for us. The whole thing, the entire procedure, going up to Linköping again, doing the whole surgery, and going back home yesterday. So let's talk about that, because as of today we are done regarding our vaginoplasty. The bottom surgery is finished, unless there's any complications that happens later on. We're done, and it feels great. So let's talk about what we did today, because back in April most of the work was done. They created the neo vagina, and since then we have been using we've been dilating, and we've been recovering. And it had some problems. You might remember the last video we did, which was about having to go back up there because of sudden bleedings and stuff like that. But in the end, we turned out fine. It looks good. It functions as it should, and it's all really, really good. We even got a compliment for having a pretty clitoris, which is an interesting compliment we've never had before. So that's cool. So today then, what was the point of today? Well, today was about doing the inner labia and the clitoral hood, which you don't do in that first set of surgeries. We say surgeries plural because we also did top surgery at the same time, but that was today. They are seen as more cosmetic, and apparently it's easier to do them after things have healed up, so you can get a better look of what the vagina looks like. Supposedly, we don't know. We're not a doctor. We're not a surgeon. But so this was the interesting thing. That surgery is done while you're awake, because it's that small a procedure. So we actually ended up being awake for this entire procedure. So let's go through the day today, because it was an interesting one. Actually, first off, fun story. This past weekend, we attended a wedding for two of our friends who were getting married, and they actually live nearby where the surgery the hospital is, not the surgery is, where the hospital is. So we considered briefly, maybe we should just stay after the wedding and just go to the surgery instead of going home in between. We ended up not doing that, but it was a funny coincidence that we had to go up to the same region of Sweden, so close in proximity. Like we went back home on Sunday, went back up on Tuesday. But that was fine. We took the bus to the hospital, because there's actually a bus directly from our local hospital here to the hospital in Linköping where the surgery takes place. So that was really, really convenient. Our wonderful partner came with us. They always support us wonderfully, and it was scary going up there. We were very nervous because we've never been awake for a surgery before, and hearing that, even though the reason you're gonna be awake is because it's a small thing, the fact that you're being awake makes it feel scarier, if that makes sense. So we arrive, and one problem we had, actually before that, one problem we had was that it also wasn't very clear with the paper we got like a paper of like instructions of like what you need to know about the procedure, and they didn't mention anything about, like, for example, if we needed to use hair removal cream again for the genitals. And we tried calling them, but we couldn't get a hold of them. They were like, the phone lines were busy, so we ended up just guessing, like, yeah, I guess it's no harm using hair removal cream. But yeah, again, they're not great about providing all the information you need, unfortunately. There was also like an odd thing where, like, it said on the paper we got that, like, oh, you need to do a health declaration on this website, but there wasn't any declaration to do there, because apparently the one we did at the start of the year was still the one that they went by, but it was still part of like the call for the surgery, like, hey, you need to go do this, but we couldn't do that. It was confusing. Swedish bureaucracy in the healthcare scene is horrible. All the paperwork is just bad and incomplete and strangely odd in how it's written. It's bad. Anyway, we arrive at the hospital. We're very nervous. We arrive early because the bus arrived. The bus actually arrives like 2.5 hours before we need to be there. But better that than late. And we go in, and we ask, like, oh, how long is this gonna take? Because they didn't say in the information, and we couldn't call ahead of time to find out because the lines were busy. And the nurse that was helping us tells us, oh, about an hour. And we're like, oh, only an hour. Okay, that's not much. And so we text our partner as well as our friends we're gonna meet up, that, like, hey, this is gonna take like an hour, so we'll be out again soon, probably. And like, she tells us to, like, oh yeah, strip down and like put on this hospital gown and the stuff provided, And we did, and we actually have a picture of us. It's not flattering. That's what we look like. And here's what we were not expecting. As we're getting ready and we're putting our things away, like, we get a little locker to lock our belongings into and everything. The nurse says, if you want, you can keep your phone, because you might want to look at that while the surgery is going on. This surprises us. We did not expect this. And we're assuming that what she means is, like, as they're prepping the surgery, rather than, as the surgery is actually going on. So we're like, okay, and we bring the phone. And we lie down, they instruct us to, like, lie down in, like, a, it's the same, like, kind of bed that you use for, like, at like a gynecologist's office, the one that have, like, these, like, things you put your legs up on, so, like, you're lying there spread out. And those were, like, oddly misadjusted first, so they needed to, like, lower them, and they, like, were uneven, and it took a while to get them right. But eventually, like, that was done, and they they started by cleaning the entire genital region, which was cold. It's very cold. And then the surgeon arrives, and she is, like, talking to us, telling us what's gonna happen and everything. And then basically it starts with the anesthesia, the injections. And here's the thing. We're really good with needles. Like, we are so used to, like, doing blood tests, and we've had, like, injections for, like, medical reasons. We've had needles stuck into our leg, our arms, our butt. Like, we're good with needles. We think like they're not that painful. It's not a problem. Needles in your vaginal region is one of the most painful experiences we have ever had. That was horrible. It was so painful. We needed to hold the nurse's hand as it was happening. Thankfully, it wasn't that it didn't go on for too long, but it was still like probably a good 8 different like places that they injected us in, and it was painful. It was so painful. Um, Absolutely horrible. Like, necessary but not pleasant. Thankfully, it starts numbing quite quickly. But then we had another problem. We realized that we could see the reflection of our groin in like one of the lamps in the ceiling. Not the ceiling, like it's from the side, but like the lamps above. We were like, oh shit! If we look up there, we can see what's going on where where they're gonna do all the poking and stuff. We don't want to see that, but we're not gonna be able to look away. Thankfully, they put up a sheet so we couldn't see. But that was our first worry because we don't know how any of this works. We've never seen this talked about by anyone. But after that, it was a very interesting experience because we ended up being allowed to keep our phone. So we got to just like we got to use it as a distraction. Basically, we could just like scroll Twitter or look at write on Messenger and whatever. So stuff like that. We could do that to pass the time and to focus on that instead. And that was actually really nice. But the experience of making the clitoral hood and the inner labia, we have the strangest comparison. If you've been to the dentist and you've had them drill in your teeth when your gums are numb, it's like this hard vibration that you just feel going through your bones. It felt exactly like that, but in your genitals. It was very uncomfortable. Not painful. After that initial pain, not a single moment of pain throughout the surgery, but it was very uncomfortable. Very creepy and unsettling in the way it just vibrated and just felt like that drill. It was disturbing. And then something curious happened. A curious thing happened where like the surgeon, she's like, it's interesting. We were supposed to make, the inner labia, which is like, the two vaginal lips, the inner lips. But we only need to do it on one side because you already have one on the other side. And it was like, you accidentally made one last time? That's interesting. Okay. Another thing they do during this procedure is they cut up the bottom of the vagina, which has been sewn together before that, as it has been healing. This allows you to like have to more easily enter it, which is useful. Which is useful for penetrative sex, as well as of course the dilation you'll be doing. Although in this case, after surgery, you're not allowed to dilate for a week. And you're not allowed to have penetrative sex for about 6 weeks. So if you're doing this, know that you will not be immediately feeling that benefit. Still, the procedure ended up taking less than an hour. At 1 p.m. was when we were admitted to the whole thing, and we started like undressing and getting ready. We were out before 2 p.m., which is amazing. How fast that went. And it was honestly a really interesting experience. So that's cool. It ended up taking another like 2 hours before we started feeling any pain. And this is when medication becomes important. We have, we think it's called Oxynorm and Oxycontin. That's the medication we're taking. That's the specifically prescribed new medication we're taking for the pain right now. And we're going to be taking Oxycontin for I think it's 2 days. After that, it's back to like general painkillers. But the pain that we're having right now, for example, it's actually really bad. It hurts a lot, but not in a not in a scary way. It feels like something that's healing, which is good. But it hurts a lot right now. We took some painkillers just before this, and yeah. See what else happened at the hospital that's worth mentioning. Oh yeah, I guess we can just reiterate that like the dilation has gone well. We were worried about that, of course, because of the issues we had we mentioned in the last video, but also because there has been a few days where we didn't do as much dilation as was recommended, and it seemed to be fine the day after, but you never know. Like it's always tricky to know. But the doctor said it was all well, and it feels pretty good. We've had our worries about how this whole surgery, the whole thing, the top and bottom surgeries, how it turned out, because I'm gonna be perfectly honest, not everything has been perfect. Not just in regards to like the problems mentioned in past diary entries, but like there have been moments in the past 2 months where we're like, damn, this is not what we expected. We want to make it very clear. Overall, we're very happy with this decision. And even as we're sitting here in pain and struggling to articulate the experience of going through with this, we're happy that we did. This might be the last surgery diary entry because there's no plans for any future surgeries right now. Like there's always the possibility of like something coming up, something needing fixing or something needing adjusting or whatever. But we wanted to like just make this extra video because of the surgery diaries we did before this. People have told us that they were very valuable because of being a direct insight into the current trans healthcare for trans women in Sweden. And as such, it felt important to also include this part because obviously we couldn't talk about this last time. Scary, but in the end, surprisingly comfortable of a scenario considering what it sounds like. Like when you hear you're gonna go in for surgery, you're gonna be awake. That's scary. When you first feel the pain from the injections, that's scary. But it was over very quickly. It didn't hurt after that. Well, during the procedure, it hurts right now. And even just like walking is fine, sitting is fine, compared to like the original procedure, because it's a very small one. It's good. Yeah. Gonna still try to take it easy because we are, of course, still recovering. We have a week of like not doing anything too much, too straining, and then a total of 6 weeks for full recovery from the specific thing. So we are gonna take it a bit easy, but yeah. Overall, we feel pretty good right now. Guess that's all we have to say. Ciao.